जयपुर वाया कोटा
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
ಲಕ್ನೋ ಜಂಕ್ಷನ್
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವರೆ
Hyderabad को 50 एक्सप्रेस পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो
It's time for match number 66 of the IPL. It's the bulldozing SRH versus the largely insipid Gujarat Titans. SRH win, they qualify. Just a 1 point will do it for them. Thunderstorms in Hyderabad. It's raining. A delayed toss. This show, nothing insipid about Cricbuzz Live because we've got two very enterprising men with a ton of stories. One, when not talking cricket, is consulting big tech companies on all kinds of complicated things, Joy Bhattacharjya and Pommie Mbangwa. You guys, your reputation is at stake because most pitch reports that come from the world feed have been wrong. What's happening, Pommie?
A pitch report can't be wrong.
It's always been wrong. Ask Joy.
It can't. What do you mean it's wrong? Come on. Yeah, you see, this is nice. I like this. I like how you started, by the way. Largely insipid. I don't think I've heard
Look
those.
at where they are.
I don't think I've heard those two words put close to each other before, but that's nice. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. How can it be wrong as a pitch report?
Mr. Bhattacharya.
because they said last time, I think, pitch full of runs, the team goes and gets 145.
Who was that? Who was that?
I will not.
No naming names.
No.
Anyway, so why I say a pitch report can't be wrong is just it's a look into the future for some people, right? It's an attempt to look into the future. And as we all know, nobody, bar none, knows what's going to happen in the future. So...
Reputations at stake here. Lots of careers are being destroyed. We've been getting our predictions wrong horribly.
Look, this is the kind of guys who is basically, I think he's in Indian election mode. So,
I'll just sip
both
my
teams
coffee.
have a chance, let elections be the winner. He's talking, let cricket be the
I'll
winner.
just sip
he's
my
sitting on
coffee.
the fence. It'll hurt you. You're sitting on the fence. It's a very thin fence. It'll hurt you.
He's spoken for his community, the commentators. It's all right to get it wrong. SRH cannot afford to get it wrong because it's the only team that has their fortune in their hands right now. They win two. They confirm a top two spot. But just a win will do it for them. Joy, are SRH the best placed among teams that are in contention for the playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. If you put away, KKR, who's already qualified, and RR, who's also already qualified, among the rest, you have two games. You have the better run rate than all of them.
Yep.
You're the only other team who has a chance of going to 16.
Yep.
No other team has a chance of going to 16. No, you do. You have Chennai also has a chance of going to 16, but you can actually go above them. You can go to 18.
Yep.
Okay, so you are, in that sense, the best place. You have a very decent run rate.
Yep.
Okay, so it's all, and you're playing home games. Both your games are home games. So, it's working out perfectly for SRH. They couldn't have asked for a better place to be. It's also a home game, which I hesitate to, must not forget to add, is on actual home game. It's in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
They're not playing a home game for Rajasthan in Guwahati or these people, Punjab to be playing in Dharamshala.
Yeah.
They're playing a Hyderabad home game in Hyderabad.
Also, the other big factor is that they don't have any English players going back home. KKR do, RR do.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult thing to legislate for some of the time.
Yeah.
Because in thinking about things, sort of at the start of the season, the thought would have been, the T20 World Cup is after the tournament, so everybody will kind of go after the tournament. They'll play, finish, and away they go. But it's so tight that somewhere along the line, country duty, and then you've got to deal with it as a side.
Yeah.
You'd hope, though, that you could, ideally, you could deal with it way before.
Yeah.
No such worries, as you say, though, for Sunrisers Hyderabad. It means their continuity, is unhindered, unharmed. Chemistry in the side, all the planning that they've done, and they kind of stick to the plan and probably can derail whoever they come up against because they've got to go to a slightly different plan.
Will it be a repeat of that 2016 title-winning campaign? Now, this team has shown enviable consistency. They haven't lost more than two in this season. Only once did they lose two. But if you look at the schedule, Joy, it's sort of worked to their advantage. They've had a lot of breaks. They take the field today after a break of about 7 or 8 days. But look at the other matches. They've always had a 3-day break, a 4-day break. And I suppose that's helped them. They won 4 in a row, then lost 2. But they haven't lost more than 2. So it's largely gone to plan for them.
It's largely gone to plan. They played very well at home. They played extremely well at home. But they've also, what they've done very well is they've intimidated teams. Yeah. And that's the thing, that from that Chennai win onwards, they've intimidated the way they've batted, the way their opening batting has come. Yeah. Teams are scared of them. And yes, you might get a wicket or 2, but remember there's class and also. They have other bats as well. But what's happening is people are making plans just for their opening batting. Yeah. And that's changing it. And if you see the 2 teams which have really gone on a run in this tournament, it's them. It's obviously on the other side, you see KKR, which is again Phil Salt, Sunil Narine, 2 really intimidating openers. Yeah. And the others, who started off very well, again intimidating, which is Jaiswal and Butler. Yep. Butler's also got a century, Jaiswal's got a century. So intimidating top order batting is this tournament's mantra. Yep. And I think they personify it the most. These 2 personify it the most.
Pat Cummins as captain, this is his first season as an IPL captain. Could, in fact, most likely will become the third bowler to take his IPL team to the playoffs after Shane Warne and Anil Kumble. What have you made of his captaincy so far?
First up, you've got to say it's a big call to have a season that's sort of gone okay, and yep. Markram as captain and changing coach. Then he comes in, brings a different captain, and the guy is still there. So Markram's still there playing in the side, and form didn't quite go according to plan. And in the end, he's now out of the side with Cummins leading. Yep. The fact that a certain stability has been retained, despite the change in leadership, I think is fantastic and testament to a togetherness within that group. Yeah. I continually have said on here, we underestimate, because it's an intangible, the importance of a stable environment. Yep. And you don't see it, you just see the guys when they get on the field. But if there are ructions in the background, it makes things difficult. So Pat Cummins has done really well. I think that in the way that he's marshaled everybody, I think he felt his way in actually, and got some sort of cushion from this batting that absolutely obliterated everybody. Yeah. And so it might have masked some deficiencies early on, especially when you're sort of going, well, you get 260 and the other guys get 230. And you say, well, hold on. You've won the game, and yes, you'll take the 2 points. But I think as a bowling group, you're sitting there going, should we have gone for 230? And everyone's been kind of questioning, are we going okay or we're not going okay? Because you don't know. If you turn those around and you say, they bat first and they get that many, do we get them? Yeah. With the pressure of the board and so forth. So, by and large, credit to him. Credit where it's due. He's got better and better bowling-wise through the tournament. And I think he's also got better and better captaincy-wise through the tournament.
We were in this very studio on auction day, and the one thing we wondered was, how will they manage their foreign player selection?
Foreign player model. And if you look at
many options.
If you look at it, it's a crazy list. Because the first thing you look at is say that naturally, he shouldn't be having a first-team chance. I mean, Pat Cummins, given the kind of foreign players who have already done well, if you see Cummins' IPL record till now, compared to there's Klaasen out there, there's Markram out there, there's Glenn Phillips out there, there's Marco Jansen out there. There are at least 4 players who you say step into their places immediately. Yeah. Then you had Fazal Farooqi, who's done well for them next year. So you've got 5 international players who seem to be first choice before even Travis Head came in. Yeah. And then you ask yourself that they already have enough top order batsmen. They've got Travis Head as well. What is he going to do out there? And I'll tell you, from there, how it's broken up is very, very interesting. Because the first thing that's happened is, who's the coach now? Okay? So you have a coach who's been there. Daniel Vettery has been most often been coaching with the Australian staff. Yeah. So Vettery and Cummins already have a relationship. Yeah. Secondly, when they picked Cummins, they must have known they're picking him as a captain. Yeah. Because otherwise, he would probably would not play the role he did. Yeah. He comes in there. He's got a new coach, new captain, but there's continuity. There, the likes of Muralidharan are there. The old staff are there. So there's a lot of continuity out there as well. And so there is continuity. And then he goes out there and he makes it very clear. Travis Head is somebody who Cummins has been working with since 2021. And the World Test Championship, and a large part, if you see, there are a lot of interviews where Travis Head, really says that, Cummins is the man who got me to play my natural game, got me to have confidence in myself. And this is much before this IPL started.
Yeah.
So he knows the weapons he has.
Yeah.
He knows the weapons he has, and he's marshaled them beautifully. And it's very interesting because he has not been scared of dumping players who are looked at as automatic selections.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody like a Markram is an automatic selection, but if he feels that, Markram is not required, who would say in this lineup, you're playing a Sri Lankan leggy as one of your top 4 options, and Markram is sitting outside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it is. Marco Jansen is sitting outside. So great man management, absolutely superb man management.
Also, the fact that he hasn't had to handle too many difficult to manage prima donnas. Now, that's an issue that a lot of other foreign captains might face. How about Gujarat now? They haven't won 2 in a row.
I don't know where you're going with that. Prima donnas? Where prima donnas?
He would know a thing or two. Isn't it difficult at times to manage prima donnas in a team, especially when they aren't captain?
It's always difficult to manage prima donnas, period. That's why they're called prima donnas.
Gujarat, meanwhile, new captain, missing Mohit Sharma as well. Former captain Hardik Pandya went to MI. That's another story as well. They just haven't settled down this season. They haven't won 2 in a row, Pommie. What's been your takeaway from Gujarat this season?
Stability, number 1. Experience, number 2.
Yeah.
That's what's been pulled out of that side when you take out Hardik Pandya, who was the leader, but also when you take out Mohammad Shami. If you take him out of any side, Mohammad Shami, it makes that side that bit less. So that's the difficulty. Throw into there that they've had injuries to key men, the senior men that were left in Miller and Ridhiman Saha getting injured, and so you've got to now try and piece together this team and try and find a scenario where others stand up. Throw something else into it. Rashid Khan comes back from surgery and injury and is not at his best form. And you've got this new captain in Shubman Gill now at the helm, not just batting, but batting and trying to be the leader as well. So a whole lot going on within that side. And it's not really a surprise that it's been difficult for them to kind of string performances together. And you don't have to be too far off in this format, in this tournament, in order for you to end up on the losing side, 2 more times than you'd like. And then it kind of derails your season. And I think that's what's happened with them. They've got to, 1, hope that they can put a squad together that they'll build well, and 2, get some sort of stability. And you need it if you're a kind of youngish side or whatever. Players not getting injured and going along through the season.
No Shami, no Hardik. Is that an excuse that lasts a 14-game tournament?
Absolutely. You had 2 huge pieces. I mean, 2 huge pieces. Somebody who gave you 400-odd runs, 12, 13-odd wickets, 3-4 overs per match, 2-3 overs per match. The other is your bowling spirit. And not only do you count the wickets he took, the wickets that are falling because he's attacking from one side and the other, they have to attack on the other side. They have to try and hit somebody on the other side. So these are huge pieces. But I think there are 2, 3 other factors.
And the captaincy change.
Exactly, captaincy change. And there are 2, 3 other factors. You have a situation where if you played with your top team, when Shami was playing at his peak and, they were getting wickets, if you see Hyderabad, they're a very different team from Hyderabad. They are used to wins in that 170 to 180 region. They used to win matches. Okay, because they had the bowling to be able to restrict them and they had the bowling to be able to defend that kind of total. That is no longer happening now with the impact substitute working. And therefore, what that means is your totals are now moving much closer to 200. 13, 14 runs on an average has been increased. What that happens is your ability to be able to play Ridhiman Saha in the top order is diluted. Because he is not going to give you that kind of strike rate up front. He never has. At his best, he's giving you 130, 140. He's never going to go higher than that. And today, other opening pairs are giving you 200. They're giving you 200, 220. So you're in a situation where your kind of game this year with the impact sub is not happening. Then add to it that you don't have the bowling. So there's a lot of factors which are in play. And I'm saying that it's not... And if you had 160, 170 kind of games, Ridhiman Saha would still be an opening option. Right now, they're looking at it and saying they should be opening with Sai Sudarshan and taking their chances with Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill, because they really don't have an option for Riddhiman Saha to take 15-20 balls to reach 30 runs. They don't have that option anymore.
So, given that opening has been an issue, given that Shami wasn't there, how do you think Shubman Gill's done? What's his report card for you?
His report card is a middling one. And middling, I say middling only because to assume, the crown and to also then try and be a batter as a youngster is not that simple. And so his efforts have also been derailed by what we're talking about and spearhead and then senior players getting injured. So it's just been really tough for him. Yeah. Try as he might. And he also has suffered in terms of his own form because there's much going on in his own head as he tries to sort out the franchise and he tries to get the team going in a direction. Try as he might to sort of, put a brave face is what you must do. Yeah. Things weren't going according to plan, So, he's a middling report card. He's probably getting a C rather than, and it's probably a C minus actually, rather than an A or a B. And it's also being marked against what's happened in the seasons before, where they've been so good as a franchise and their performances have, everyone's gone, how are they doing this, They're not a side that knows losing, and they've experienced it this time. And you could see that as it went along, confused faces all around because this is not meant to happen. They're supposed to just win and win and win and keep surprising absolutely everybody. And it's not been a surprise anymore. Once you do it one season and 2 seasons, everyone's going, well, you're a good side. You're supposed to win. Flipped the other way.
Yeah, well, being an IPL captain is like sitting on a hot seat. It's not been an easy outing for Shubman Gill as captain. Big 6 months coming up for him after the World Cup as well because his own form hasn't been great. He's not part of India's World Cup squad. He's in the reserves. So Shubman Gill has his work cut out over the next 6 months. There's someone else who did excite a lot of people across India and they were hoping that he'd make the cut for the World Cup. He hasn't. Abhishek Sharma has a few fans and one of our viewers has a question about him for our experts with hashtag #AskCricbuzz Live. Arjun wants to know, with India set to tour Zimbabwe after the T20 World Cup, has Abhishek Sharma done enough to dream of an international debut? Has he?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we asked a question a few days back and Pommie inadvertently apparently answered it immediately, which was, which is the Indian player? Which is the only player who's not an international player, that means hasn't played senior international cricket for his country, who scored the most runs in the IPL. I know Abhishek Sharma scored more than 1,200 runs in the IPL. So, he's a legit player. He's an absolutely legit player.
Dreams are free. You can dream whatever you want. But to play for India, I don't think anyone can, one, take for granted, and two, think it's easy. You can play well for season after season and still not get picked. You've got to do it over and over again. You know what I mean? So it's important that this isn't a flash in the pan and that there's a consistency from Abhishek Sharma. I like him. I like him as a player. Yeah. I think that in a time to come, he'll don the colours at some point. Whether he does well in the colours will determine whether he continues on. But he's got a lot of competition. If you look at the people that haven't been selected for this 2020 World Cup and understand that some of them have already played for India.
Gaikwad?
Like Gaikwad.
Tilak Verma, Sai
Sudarshan. So there are many names. So with regard to playing for India, there's just this pecking order. There's this list of names that is endless. So just because you've played well, you're just one of many who have. Yeah. So can you do it again and again and again? And the saying goes, knock the door down, right? And one swallow doesn't make a summer.
Big statement.
Yep.
India does these days hand out international caps. I suppose a lot easier, a lot faster.
So also you're going to see one generation go. Yeah. I mean, I don't see the likes of Rohit and Kohli playing so many of these tours afterwards. They might be there for the test. Definitely they'll be there for the Australia test. But a lot of the other series, I mean, Zimbabwe, they may not look at this as a priority. After an IPL season, World Cup, there might be just time to rest them. This is a time to try out new kids. And that's typically what India does. Just after a World Cup, they'll try. But he's right about that case, that even in that situation, when you're saying that I'm going to try new people, I mean, there's so many good Indian players at one level that it's crazy. The other problem that Abhishek Sharma has is that he's opening. He's at his best opening. And the logjam for India is at the opening spot, because you say Rohit, Virat is likely to open. Rohit, Virat, Jaiswal, Shubman. Okay. Add to that Sai Sudarshan.
Ishan Kishan. I mean, in the mix.
Yeah, Ishan Kishan. Rituraj Gaikwad. Okay. Where do you go?
The names are endless.
Yeah. So the only place, I'll tell you the places which might open up in a bit. He bowls left arm. So if he can bat at 5 or 6, then there's a place for a Jadeja is not going to be there. Jadeja is, I mean, seemingly ageless, but that place for a left arm spinner and somebody who can whack the bowling, somebody's there. But his bowling is still not there at that place. But that's where he needs to look at.
Is it tougher for an opener to bat at 5 or 6 in T20s, or is it easier?
I think it's tougher. I think that's the engine room. I think the guys who do really well, if you think of one-day games, you think of 2020 games, and the summing up of situation. Sometimes you must repair, sometimes you must come in and you've got to just absolutely smash it, and you've got to be that adaptable and have that range of game.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult. And that's not to say it is easy to start up front and whack it.
Yep.
For me, I think be the best as an opener.
Yeah.
Be as good as you can be as an opener. In this season, he's certainly set new trends. Him and Travis Head have led the pack. Think of other openers. Sunil Narayan has been fantastic at the top with Phil Salt. So be the best as an opener. And that until that fails, then you can go and try somewhere else. But he'll still have the other string to his bow, which is to bowl left arm spin. He's not needed in the side that he plays, and so he's not going to bowl, right? But in other, I suppose, domestic games, he's going to continue to bowl. Just don't give it away. Yeah. Don't end up going, I'm just a batter.
Yeah.
He's got to keep working at that as a craft so that he can provide that as an option. And teams that have batters who can bowl, looking at what Joy said, next generation, the next in line for India, you imagine if there are 2 or 3 guys who are bona fide batters, but who can actually bowl, then the team gets stronger.
I was reading somewhere the Sangakkara had a certain plan for Riyan Parag. Last year, he said, you've got to bat 4 and you've got to go and bowl. What should be on Abhishek Sharma's to-do list for the next 6 months?
See, I mean, next season, hopefully he'll be playing Ranji, he'll be playing Saeed Mushtaq Ali. I think he has to bowl. And, I mean, he has to get runs. And he has got runs. This year, he has got runs. He's been a bit inconsistent to start off with, but I think now he's really settled down. And I think what he has, which is very important, which actually translates to the lower order as well, is 6-hitting ability. Because the point is that, you need guys who can clear the field. And when you come in at 5 and 6, the field is already out normally.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that strength/timing to be able to, take it out of the field, it's very difficult to score runs. So he has that power.
Yeah.
He has that power and timing, but that's the point that, he's still at this point in time, he's done so well as an opener that you don't want to move him from there. But that opening spot is really crowded.
It's also, I'm trying to think how old Abhishek is. And
Abhishek is exactly the same age as Prithvi.
23.
He's that same batch of under Prithvi who won the 2020 World Cup.
And Rian's one above or two above?
Rian is also the same age.
Same age.
No, in the same World Cup, but Rian was younger than them. So Rian is actually much younger. And he played them as a 17-year-old, he played the World Cup.
Oh, right. So the reason, same batch though. So younger, but
Rian is 22.
So he's had the same time. So they pop up, you see them, you think, ooh, these guys are talented. And then they go through the system, and it takes time. It also takes faith in you. It takes somebody to say, do this and do it for a period of time, and you will come through on the other side. This is in a hope because they see your skills, and it's that batch that's coming through. Shubman, Prithvi, they were ahead of them, weren't they? We're looking at them thinking, and Shubman's still up there. He's the man, he can play. And he's shown that in India colours. The rest of his batch are coming through.
But the problem is, even your next batch is coming. Because your next batch is Yashasvi.
Yes.
So the problem is you're not just getting your batch who's doing well, your next batch Yashasvi is already saying, hey, you know what, I need to play.
It's a good problem.
Yeah,
it's a good problem because it drives the others. It's a good problem for India. It's a good problem for the players themselves because it means you're not going to be, you're not going to be kind of wishy-washy and get a go. You're not going to do it once and they'll say, oh, we found the savior. Nah, it's not going to happen like that.
It's a marathon.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep going, do it over and over and bang that door down.
And when he is in full swing, it does mean you will see a lot of raining sixes in Hyderabad. At this point, though, I've been told, in fact, Gokul Gopal of Cricbuzz has just sent out an update saying the covers are coming off again. The toss has been delayed, of course. So once we do have news on that, we'll come back to it. But Yuvraj Singh has taken personal keen interest in Abhishek Sharma's career. So maybe it's a project that Indian cricket looks at very seriously. Now, another man, not as young as Abhishek Sharma, but Mohit Sharma, who's been with the Gujarat Titans, was expected to do what Shami has done in the past. It's not been a great season for him. Bowled pretty well in that last game against CSK, but it's been a hot and cold season for Mohit Sharma.
Look, there are two things. One is that Mohit Sharma at his best, okay, is a second string bowler. That means he comes in later. He comes in, the ball is older.
Yeah.
His great strength is his slower balls. His great strength is his variation, okay. Yeah. He doesn't swing the ball particularly well up front, nor does he nip the ball up front, nor is he particularly fast. Yeah. So what's happened is you've got a guy who really does well in the middle and the depth. Yeah. And you've picked up him and said, there are no other bowlers there, you're going to open the bowling for me. Yeah. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So he's been asked to do things which is, how often do you see Harshal Patel opening the bowling? You don't. Yeah. Because there are bowlers who do better with the ball in a particular shape and at a particular stage of the match. Yeah. And I think that is one of the problems that they have, that because of the fact that they can't play that international fast bowler, they're forced to play him up front as well.
27 wickets last season, almost won the second title for Gujarat, barring those last two deliveries against Ravindra Jadeja and Ahmedabad. But this season, look at the numbers. The average in red, an economy of 10.9, which I suppose is debatable in 2024. But these are not the kind of numbers which will encourage retention conversations around him, or will it?
There's a necessity to apply context to numbers. Yeah. And I would hope that those who look at those numbers have the understanding that, you know, it's a jigsaw puzzle. So has he suddenly, you know, gone away from being good at what he was good at before, which is, you know, slower balls and, you know, into the pitch and make sure at the back end that he gets some Yorkers in? He hasn't. It's just, he's suddenly been exposed to a different part. Now, instead of doing two jobs, middle and the back, he's being asked to do all three jobs. Yeah. And in an ideal scenario, because it's about the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, you put that first piece of the jigsaw puzzle, which is Mohammad Shami, then he doesn't have to do that job, right? He has to bowl one over in the power play, and he bowls the rest at the back end. So, yeah, when you put it together, the season, number one, has been a tens and more season. Yeah. So if you're bowling at the toughest times, front and back, and you're going at tens, then you're kind of doing what is average. You're not doing badly. Yeah. You're just average, right? Yeah. You're kind of, on some days you've gone well, on other days you've been whacked, as has happened through the season. So yeah, context to the numbers and look at the skills, look at what he brings to the team rather than how badly a guy has gone. Yes,
it's all interlinked, isn't it? It's a performance is based on what the others are doing as well, as he said. Shami around would be different. It would be different.
Also, you know, a very good example I'll give you is of the SRH bowlers. Now, we say the SRH bowlers are not doing great because, you know, they're also going for runs. But the point is that if you're going to score 250s and 260s, batters are going to go desperate against you. Yeah. There are days they're going to get out at 120, 130, but there are days they're going to get 240, 250. Yeah. And that's the truth, that whenever you see high batting performances, you will see the bowlers' strike rates, unfortunately, their economy rates also go up. There's nothing you can do about it.
If you're defending 36, right? You only have to go for one less six. Yeah. And do we then call that successful if you do that? If the last one goes for 4, not for 6, are you successful? Yeah. We say, yes, you are. right? You won the game. And that's the context. You have to apply it every single time as you look at the game and you try and formulate these teams, make a team, not look at people in isolation.
Hashtag perspective.
Yes, sir.
Biggest lesson in life. Now, Joy, there's a bit of pressure on you. I've been told that the senior management at Google, Deloitte, and other big companies are watching Cricbuzz live. The pressure is on you to give us the best Joy Factor question ever on the show.
I have a fun one. I have a fun one. It's not the best ever, but it's a fun one.
What, hey, no shirking.
No, never. Hey, overnight, he can't change the goalpost overnight. Puts me onto the pitch and says, okay, score 15 goals.
Okay, what have you got for us?
Here he was saying, oh, you sitting on the fence. Best one ever. That's what he said.
Okay, here goes. It's a fun question. In the only instance where India's top 4 all got centuries in a test match, who was the player of the match?
Ooh. All 4. Top 4 got hundreds.
It's happened.
Okay. In a T20 season, he's asked a question about Test cricket. Press the reset button. Think. You guys have enough time to crack this one. We still don't have any news on when the toss is likely to happen. So what we will do is we'll join you again right after the toss. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Bye-bye.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपको अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
ಲಕ್ನೋ ಜಂಕ್ಷನ್ ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲು
Hyderabad को 50 एक्सप्रेस पौरबती स्टेशन नेताजी भवन कृपया ध्यान दें